Hi guys, how are you doing today? Thanks for doing our panel. Hi, I'm Jai'Nya Chinn. I'm a rising junior, major in special education. Went to Aiken from Cincy in Georgia. I'm gonna stop now. We're doing a panel. Just want to have y'all introduce yourselves and tell us why you want to be a teacher. You can go down the line. Sorry.
Okay, I'm Teri'Ana. So I'm an integrated associate education major. I'm a rising senior. Why do I want to become a teacher? I want to become a teacher because when I was in class and I didn't want to be at school, or I didn't want to be in the class, or I was bored of learning, a teacher came in and like sparked a light that had never been there before. I want to be that for other students because I feel like a lot of times people try to find a safe space, and it's supposed to be school, and that's not what happens, especially from what I saw in the students around me. I never want anybody to feel like they don't have any place to be, and I think school can be that for a lot of students. It was that for me. Even now, like the academic settings that I put myself in, or even the programs that I'm in, like I love the people around me and the people that I surround myself with. And the traditional way of education is sit in the classroom. I don't think that it fits for everybody, and it didn't fit for me. And so I want to be that person that's flexible for other students, so that they don't have to be confined to one norm. Yeah.
My name is Shawn Bell. I'm a junior. Well, I'm gonna be a junior next fall. But I'm part of the literacy lab cohort. So I feel like literacy lab is what made me want to become an educator, because I did a lot of literacy tutor work where we had to come in, we had to sing to the kids, read to the kids, and just focus on curriculum. So I really enjoyed that experience, and that's what made me want to become a teacher.
Hi, my name is Racky. I'm a rising sophomore. I always forget that. And then ever since I was a little girl, the first profession I remember wanting to be is a teacher. I have a picture of me in third grade, holding up a chalkboard with teacher on it. And I remember my third grade teacher looking at me very weird when I said I wanted to be a teacher. But I just want to inspire students in my classroom. I want to show them their potential and what they can be, because I didn't really have a lot of teachers that did that for me. So.
Hi, my name is Jametria. Tutt. I'm a rising sophomore, I think. Yeah. And I did not want to be an educator at all. I actually changed career paths probably 5 times while I was in high school. The last one before I met Brian for TEACh was I wanted to go to the military. Dr. Coleman from Walnut Hills told me that was not possible. So he told me to explore other career paths, and definitely education is one that sparked my interest. I have nieces with disabilities, and I really want to bring a change into the special ed community as far as representation. So, yeah.
Hello, my name is Zyyon Gipson. I'm considered a rising senior. I am also part of the literacy lab cohort, so that's how I got interested in education. Before that, I never thought about being a teacher. It was nothing on never on my radar. I originally wanted to be an engineering major, but I realized I hated it, and I was bouncing around between majors and stuff. And then my brother, while I was working a job, was just like, "Hey, I got an easy job for you. We just go read to preschoolers." And I was like, and he said, "We get a free trip to Atlanta." And I was like, I can't deny that. So I did that, and I realized, oh, wait, this is really something powerful we doing here. We really affecting education for future generations from now. I got really interested in that. And then I didn't want to do preschool, but I realized I want to do math and science. So I was like, oh, middle childhood education is where you can teach 2 subjects. And that's what I chose as my major, so.
Hello,
It's close. Hello, my name is Myles Harrison. I'm also part of the first cohort, and stop me if you heard this one, but originally I didn't plan on being a teacher. I wanted to go into a field of engineering, but it wasn't until I met Dr. McMillan Rachel and Dr. Brian, not that Brian's here. I just did the Miami program because it was like, well, hey, it's free college. Like, why not? But as I've gone through on the years, and I actually started my first year, I realized the importance of the entire program, and I realized that working with students that look more like me, I feel like I can really provide give that hope that most students that I know really didn't have. I only had a few colored teachers in my life starting elementary, and I was thinking that's really inspirational, and I can be somebody that I didn't really have all that much, and I could be that stepping stone that they need to be a part of something great. So say one of the students become maybe the president or something, I get to say hey, I was there for them, I put them. But yeah.
I like the way you think. Okay. The next question is kind of, you already answered it, but I want to know about your experiences in high school and where TEACh intersected with that. You don't all have to answer, but I would like for most of you to do so.
Okay. Well, since I have the microphone, like I said, I was a part of the first cohort. I started around my 8th grade, and originally, at the time, I wasn't really thinking anything much about it because it's I'm an 8th grader. I just started, but free college, that sounds cool. So the way it was structured is that we were actually part of classes, and we actually had to maintain our GPAs to stay in the class, and that was really important because well, this is free college. Why would you throw that away? And it was just oh, well, this is easy. But as I've gone on, it's not about how if it's easy or not. It's actually about the goal, the meeting that goal and why we're doing it. And I was starting to understand well, this is actually really important. This actually is something that should be done. There aren't that many. When I heard there aren't many, African American male educators, and I was thinking maybe I should be part of the group that pushes towards that goal. And since then, I've enjoyed it. Looking back, I just laugh at the thought that this free college it's cool, but I'm looking at it now, and I really appreciate what it really means, and I really just value that I get to be here, and I really get to say that hey, I'm on my way to becoming an actual educator. I would have never thought I'd be here in a million years.
Wait, what was the question?
Experiences in high school, and then where did TEACh intersect?
Okay. So I'm originally not from Cincinnati. I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky. I moved to Cincinnati during the pandemic, and I went to school online at Taft, and then I tested in to Walnut Hills. With that being said, people love Walnut Hills. I hated Walnut Hills. It was not a great experience. I think coming from a rural area to a big, huge urban area was definitely a really large adjustment. And I felt knowing that I'm used to rigidity and structure because there's nothing to do in Owensboro, Kentucky. I feel with the opportunity of college being brought up, especially for free, because I was only going to go to the military so I could pay for college, and even then I was only going to go to the Air Force so I could sit at a desk all day. I'm not getting in the field. Anyways, I definitely feel if it wasn't for me knowing about this program and how it's really played a major role in my life, I would have never even thought about being an educator, nor would I have thought about college in general. I felt like it was really far out of reach. And so I'm just really thankful that, like, yes, even though I hated Walnut Hills, it like gave me the opportunity to join this lovely cohort of people.
So I did go to Walnut Hills and I did like it. I tested in 7th grade, so I went there from 7th to senior year. I changed a lot at the school, met a lot of people, didn't have a lot of teachers of color. And then my senior year of high school, after telling almost every single one of my classes and every single one of my teachers, every time they asked that I wanted to be a teacher, I met Dr. Coleman, and Dr. Coleman knew me. So he was like, when he heard about the program, he was like, oh, Racky, you have to be in it. I was like, okay. And I'm a first generation student, so getting into college for a bachelor's degree, all 4 years, like with a scholarship, was definitely enticing to me. I love doing the class with Dr. Coleman. I was really sad that I only got in to teach my senior year, but continuing with it during college has been great. So.
I was also a part of the first cohort, and so we were like we had everything had just started, and so it was just a class, and there wasn't CCP yet. But my first year, realistically, I played a lot in the class. Dr. Rachel, though, let that class be like what you wanted it to be. And it's kind of like the class that we have now, where it's not to say that we can go in and play, but I had my work done. So it's like I had that time, but I also got to build community in that classroom. I got to learn about the stuff that I actually wanted to learn about, like my history. I love Black history. That's just my thing. And so Dr. Rachel made sure that everybody in the classroom knew what the program was while we're in this class. Of course, like Myles said, we had to maintain a GPA. These are the logistics of it, but she made it exactly what we wanted to be, where the topics that we learned were interesting to us, and we could relate to them a little bit. We could see them in ourselves a little bit more than the typical like curriculum, and that's what kept me in the class, because I wasn't thinking about being a teacher. And then by the time the program had started, I actually had just moved here from Illinois, and so I was looking for a community because I had been through like different friend groups. It was 8th grade, so it was like a bunch of different people throughout my life, and then I finally found the classroom. I love being in the classroom. Even now, like going to our class, I'll make sure I go to that class. But when we were in 8th grade, from 8th grade to 10th grade. From 8th grade to 10th grade, we had Dr. Rachel and first we had Dr. Rachel. When we had Dr. Rachel, she had us making like coloring books. I got it. She had us making books that were our own ideas for students that went to North College Hill. Eventually, Dr. Nathaniel Bryan came, and he took us because he had taught there before. And so I feel like Dr. Rachel was like, the one that got us interested in it, and then Dr. Nate came in and kind of like he showed us if you want to be a teacher, this is what you need to do. This is what you're gonna need to expect. And so then they kind of flowed together. They worked together very, very well. And then we got into 11th and 12th grade, my 11th and 12th grade year, where we got the CCP course with Dr. Nathaniel Bryan. I'm trying to make sure. But Dr. Nathaniel Bryan, and that's whenever I knew I really wanted to be a teacher. Because it was just, it was EDT at the time, EDT 190, so that's the Intro to Education course, and I loved it, especially with Dr. Bryan, because, like, I don't know, I just like the way that he taught, and I felt like I held him to a really, really high expectation. He was really, really smart, and I never typically saw that, especially, like, I never had any male Black teachers, and so then I seen him, and I was like, yeah. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And so learning about stuff that was important while also having fun doing it and not really thinking about, okay, this is a book, he's talking to me, that's it. And I'm not a person that can just listen to somebody talk. And that's not what he was about. So we got to be creative and we got to speak our mind, which is something that I feel like a lot of students don't have in their classroom, where they get to speak up and talk about what they actually want to learn about or questions that they actually have, or he was open to us being wrong, but we never were like, we never thought about there being a right or wrong answer. We could say what we needed, and it would get corrected properly. I feel like, so that's what kept me in the field, and that's how it was in my high school.
So this next question, first and foremost, I would like everybody to give a round of applause to these lovely people for making it through a school year that was something for sure. So that being said, the question is, what was your most frustrating moment this past school year? What was your favorite moment and why?
Okay, so immediately when she said frustrating, alarm bells popped up in my head. So I am part of this program, but I go to the Hamilton campus, and I feel like one of the most frustrating things this semester has been not being able to like participate as much in the activities and things. Like, y'all, my mom is like really strict, so that's been hard. But I think my favorite moment has probably been still finding my community on the Hamilton campus. It's a smaller campus, so like I found like 3 of my friends. We all had courses together this past semester, and like we like made our way through it. And I think just being together with them has really been good for me.
Can you say the question again?
Yeah, so your most frustrating moment this past school year, your favorite moment, and why?
My most frustrating moment was I had gotten a 0 on a presentation that I did in class because we forgot to submit it. And she emailed Sydney before emailing me about it, and I was like, she said I was failing the class, and I was like, but you didn't tell me about it. That was probably the most frustrating moment. But I turned it around and got an A. So, my favorite moment was the lock-in. I had a lot of fun. It was nice to like wind down, have fun with everybody else and TEACh, build the community up and everything right before exam week, and just like have that like break before I like, I gotta lock in again. So.
Where to start? Okay. So something I was frustrated with. So one thing, this isn't like an entire huge frustration, but it's just a personal pet peeve of mine. Over this semester, I was teaching Saturday art classes, and the entire program went pretty smooth. I loved working with the first and second graders. They were actually really well behaved compared to the kindergartners, which were like, rah. But what I didn't like was it not really like anything about the class. I loved the class. It was just I was working with a partner, and I feel like the communication that we had wasn't really the greatest. We would do things sometimes, or we would plan things, and sometimes I would find myself having to do something, and they're off just doing something else with another group. So it's like, I'm trying to get an A here, I'm at least trying to get a grade. But we managed to get through. It all worked out in the end, and I'm still glad that I managed to do Saturday art. I don't regret it. I'd probably do that again. Something I really did like, I actually liked a lot of things about this semester. One of them was I actually took an animation class, and I actually got to brush up on my skills. Another thing that I really liked was a lock-in we also did. I was a huge fan of that. We did a lot of events. We actually got to hang out for most of the day. Let's see. We played this game called, what was it? You Can't Say Yeah, we split up between boys versus girls, and yeah, we went undefeated, yeah.
No, y'all were
Envy
not.
is an ugly emotion, people.
Okay, so I'm Shawn again. I would say my most frustrating moment had to be first semester. So first semester I came through the Fresh Start program to better my GPA. My GPA before was like a low 2 something. So I had to maintain above a 3.0, and I was also coaching wrestling, and we went to state, and like I had to drive like 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours away to state and coach as a junior high wrestling coach and maintain a 3.0, which I ended up with a 3.4, 3.5. But it's like having to lock in and like do essays and like complete all that work and still be a coach all in the same breath. I was no sleep deprived, no time, like, and I found it hard to communicate. But that's also a moment that I felt like was my favorite part, is like learning to communicate and learning to like network and learning to just like, I don't know, just I feel like I was getting like a better version of myself throughout being at TEACh Cincinnati. And every time I came back to like class, like I always felt that sense of community. And another one of my favorite moments was like the urban cohort, like the first the meeting between like urban cohort and TEACh Cincinnati. So I did end up joining urban cohort, so like I'm part of the new cohort coming in. So I feel like that was my favorite part, just like eating pizza, chilling, and getting to meet new people.
Okay, my most frustrating part of the semester. I start with my favorite part. So I have a couple favorite parts, but one of my favorite parts was the lock-in, because that was a time where like there was nothing moving forward. Like we actually got to get to know each other, and we had a lot of fun doing it. We painted, we played games, and if it were you, if you were game, and basically like. So I'll ask a question, and everybody in the room has to come up with an answer, has to pick a person that would fit that answer, right? And so then we have to say 3, 2, 1, and we all point. And so that's part of the game. And then the second part of the game was that there was a question, and there are 5 answers. And so I read all 5 answers, and then everybody in the room I have to pick an answer that I think will fit me, and everybody in the room has to pick an answer that will fit me. And so they're gonna put their hands up of 1 through 5, whichever one they think is me. And honestly, getting to know what people think of you is kind of crazy. And so I think that's what made it fun, but we also got to get to know each other. Another one of my favorite parts of the semester was, so I'm in the urban cohort. I'm on the advisory team of the urban cohort, and then I was also Dr. Zeno's TA for the urban cohort for the first years, and I was in my junior seminar. So what that meant was that I got to plan out things for the whole urban cohort, and then I also got to help Zeno facilitate her class, and it was very rewarding for me because I got closer with them. And now Zeno's a really good teacher, and I think that outside of just being a teacher, like she did a lot for me this semester. So that was my favorite part. Yeah, I'll stick with that. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Lakisha Zyyon. I am a teacher with Cincinnati Public Schools. I am also, too, a doc student. I work alongside Prince, Dr. Schultz, Dr. Zeno, Dr. Swartz, and if I forgot anyone, I'm sorry. I love you all. So for you all, what would you say, what opportunities have you been given or otherwise afforded that you feel like you wouldn't have been afforded through the TEACh cohort?
I feel like opportunity that I wouldn't have been offered before without TEACh Cincinnati is alternative spring break. So alternative spring break, we got to go to DC and Columbus, and we spent like a week, I would say about a whole like full week. And when I say like Like it was a lot. It was a lot. Like at first, like the first day, I was like, oh, we gotta wake up bright and early in the morning. We gotta make sure we dress like, you know, in attire. So we had like business casual, sports casual, business professional, and like just getting to know the attires and also being able to advocate for higher education for TEACh Cincinnati in different states and different cities. I feel like that was a great opportunity that I wouldn't have otherwise been offered. Yeah.
One opportunity that I've been offered is the possibility of bigger things. I feel like I've been pretty sheltered. And before I got into college, I had this like perspective of like, oh, college is hard, it's tough, you're gonna have to work all the time, you're not gonna have fun, or you're not gonna have time for any fun. But getting into college and like the supports that have been offered, like from Sydney and like from Brian. Yeah. This Brian. Those supports being offered and then like academic supports have really opened up my schedule, my perspective on things. Like now I can consider, you know, moving out at an earlier age because I'm not saddled with debt, or like being able to have better grades, and then also being able to like maybe pursue a master's if I want. So
some of the opportunities I feel like TEACh has afforded me, for one, definitely a sense of community. I was so terrified of coming to college. And Sydney can say it best. Our first one-on-one meeting, I sat in the corner of her office and barely talked to her. She had to engage me the entire time. Now I go and harass Sydney every day. So definitely being able to like talk to like these people on the panel, like Terry and Jai'Nya, and then bully these two the same way they bully me. It's definitely been a rewarding experience. Also, I would have never been able to like afford or advocate for myself to get mental health services. And definitely like throughout this program, that has been like one of my top favorite things about it, because I'm able to become a better person and I'm able to see better and perform better in school and actually be involved. And then one more thing, I would have never been able to afford college without it. So that's a good thing.
I think one of the opportunities I really appreciate is, like, as mentioned before, community. When I first went to TSU, and one of the hardest things was like finding a community to be with in an area you've never been before. So coming to Miami and Oxford, having TEACh, able to just like meet people. I met Myles on the tour, and I was like, oh, we cool now. Like, it's just, that was really nice. Especially, I think the major thing is like, yeah, being able to go to college for tuition and board covered. I don't think I would have been able to like go into education as a teacher for my bachelor's at first. I would have to go like the para route first. But the fact that like I can come here and just focus on my education and everything, get my degree, and then go straight into CPS, I think that's the biggest opportunity they've given me, and I really appreciate it.
Okay, so I guess one of the big opportunities that I'm grateful for is, well, first and foremost, not going into debt for college. And I really mean that, because anytime you want to even think about going to college, you hear these horror stories about how somebody is still paying the RRS after all these years and how they're still around. So I'm just grateful that through Miami TEACh, we're able to do the things that we can experience, like going to Costa Rica or doing a study abroad there, learning about how education is done there, learning from their experiences. I never thought that I would have ever made it there. And just when it's an entire other community that's not in America. And I feel like if I did that through loans and not through my TEACh, I would probably say that Uncle Sam would have a field day. But it's because of just doing this program that I can just go back to schools. Like we went to Aiken, and we recently just talked with students that are interested in the program, and just talking with them, like it felt great. Like, it felt good to be back, but it also was like, great to think like, like we had people that came into the school and talked about, Miami and how good the program was. Now here we are doing the same thing. It's funny how it circles back, but yeah, I'm really grateful that Miami TEACh is even a thing.
I'm grateful. Miami TEACh has offered me a lot of leadership roles, a lot of experiences. Like you said, going to Costa Rica. Like, I think we talk about it a lot. We went, and it was really fun. And then, of course, because Brian Schultz and Kathy was there, like, I think that our relationship, at least the TEACh students who went this past J-term, we all got to know Brian a little bit better outside of him being, his role and things. But it was really meaningful to get to know Brian just like himself. We got to learn Spanish, and we got to, it was really fun to do that. But then I also think that it has offered me a lot of lasting relationships with the students, with the professionals that I've met. It gives me a sense of motivation sometimes whenever I just be like, I don't think I want to do this, because it wasn't my first choice. I think I always go back to what I wanted to do, which I will do eventually. I want to be a social worker, so I'll do that eventually, but I think that education right now is for me. And so the people that I surround myself with and the programs that I put myself, or that they put me in and that I like work through, I think keep me motivated. And then, so yeah, I think it offers me a lot of like mental support. And also not being like the most traditional student. I'm not the easiest person to deal with, but like I think they helped me with Sydney. Like, if we didn't have Sydney, they would be like bad, because our relationship, like, I think, so we have like the different like people we go to, right? We go to Sydney for if we really need to get it out. I feel like if it's an event in about classrooms or problems that we have with teachers where she was a student recently, and so she could feel that same like emotion with classes where sometimes the professor don't understand. You might be wrong, but they just don't understand. Sydney will listen, but then she also tells you. But then you have Brian. Brian's like more like Terry, you know what you're supposed to be doing, and I know that, Brian. But like I have that, and I have that support, and I know that I could go to them for stuff. And then also outside of the TEACh program, where I have other people that I know that I can go to whenever I feel more comfortable to. So I think it has offered me a lot of like support with professionals and stuff, so yeah.
All right, so my next question is a twofold question. You all have kind of touched on it, but it's around sense of community. So if you could just kind of like discuss the sense of community that you all have built within TEACh, but then also too, where do you find community outside of TEACh?
I'll answer first this time. If any of the TEACh students don't show up to anything, they know they're gonna hear from me. Like every single time. If they say, if we doing something, if we planning something, I want to make sure everybody is coming because I really, 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 really like the community. So I started we started doing stuff outside of just like the classroom. Okay, you guys, if you can't make it to this, fine. We'll meet up somewhere else. And there was one night where we were all supposed to go get slushies. And it took a long time. So we were all sitting around Fitness Center, and that was our first time actually like outside of the classroom getting together, outside of like what teachers planned for us. It was just us doing it. And so then we got to get to know each other, and it was really fun. We had a lot of laughs, and that was just to get to know each other. So that was us building a sense of community. And then also inside of class, like we know who's usually gonna be the first person in class. We know who's coming in to say what. Like we know there are jokes in the class. There was one time I walked into class late, and one of the TEACh students, Zach, had made a presentation about me. And like it was the joke, and I was shook. But that was just us like getting together, and it was laughs and it was fun. And then the sense of community that I built outside of TEACh, you can find that really anywhere. I found mine my freshman year, where since I came to Summer Scholars, I knew a couple people before outside of TEACh, which was important because the people that I came in with from TEACh, we weren't close friends in high school, and so I still felt like I needed to find my group of people, and so I did. But then on top of that, we remained friends, and so they all do different things, and so that's how I find I have my community, because I never wanted to be friends with a bunch of teaching majors, because I had that already, but I wanted to also see perspectives of different things, and so I go to them and start talking to them about the TEACh stuff that I have going on, and they're like, well, maybe you should look at it like this, and I'm like, maybe you're right, but I have that opportunity, and then also within the urban cohort, having my own cohort where we all did, well, I do know one of the teachers is in it, but it's just a different group of people, so yeah.
So in TEACh Cincinnati, to find community, it's definitely that the mindfulness center. I feel like that's where we go, and we just break things down, process things, and also get our work done and study and things like that. Sometimes we just eat food, or sometimes we just go out somewhere and just go get slushies or get food or anything like that. And that's where we play games and learn more about each other. And I feel like that's what makes the classes better too. When we do things outside of the classroom and being able to actually be friends and have that connection. So outside of TEACh Cincinnati, where I find community, I be skate downtown Cincy and Cincy Parks Foundation in downtown Cincy. So that's where I find my sense of community, where I teach skating, and we just have fun, and we throw skate parties all for all ages, and I DJ as well. So I feel like that's most of my community and network. So yeah.
I'm not very integrated in the TEACh Cincinnati program at Oxford, but I will say anytime I come to a TEACh Cincinnati event, I always look for Sydney or Jai'Nya or Terry, because they always greet me with a big smile. And every time before I come, I'm so nervous because I'm like, I don't know anybody. But then they're like, oh, hey, come on, girl. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And then outside of TEACh, so my friends at the Hamilton campus have been great. I'm part of the education club there. So doing that, and then the shadow opportunities that come with that has been really nice too. And I work at my old elementary school in Pleasant Ridge, TCP World Academy in Cincinnati. So that community has been with me since I was a little girl. So coming back and teaching there has been great.
So I definitely feel like community is what you make it. I know I am not the most punctual person or very easy to get a hold of sometimes. So relax. So definitely I've had to find community within myself before I can show them community. I definitely community for me is, this is gonna sound so hippie doodah of me, but I go hiking a lot, and I'll sit in the sun and I'll draw, and I connect with nature and God, and then I talk to them almost every day, harassment, and I feel like the community that I've gotten from them has taken me so far as mentally, emotionally, academically, even the staff Sydney and Brian, they are so hard on me because they want me to be great, and I really appreciate that. And so yeah, there you go.
We form a sister community in the TEACh organization by like they said, going to the hanging out in the mindfulness center. We actually sit on each other's meetings with Sydney sometimes. People just walk in and sit. So that's fun. We just have a conversation all together with Sydney. We also have classes together. I had a class with Jai'Nya and Shawn, and we all just chilled and did our homework together. We did group projects together, and that was great. So, because we're all in education, so we're all likely to have classes together. And then outside of TEACh, I joined a bunch of clubs that I probably didn't go to all of them, but I tried to go as many times as I could. And then I work at the library, so like I interact with Dean Connolly and work with a lot of other students there, and just like build connections through with Miami through that. Other than that, like I just go to events sometimes. I don't go out like at night or anything, but I go to I go to like some of the BSAA events sometimes, and then I didn't get a chance to because of my schedule, but I wanted to go to My Campus Brothers. Like I was really interested in that, so that's what I do to stay in the community.
All right, so as in community, inside of TEACh, it basically is just, we're all basically like kind of one big family. Just building up the community over the years, like you get to really know the people inside just really well. And like, I get to I can say that I know a bit about everybody here today. But I feel like back then, like, when I was just in high school, I wouldn't have had that sort of sense. Like, I wouldn't feel like man, I'm in this community and I really enjoy it. But in TEACh, it's like, man, like, you're just a part of it. Like, even if you don't say anything, like, you're still always a part of the conversation no matter what. So I appreciate that. Outside of TEACh, no, I'll kind of admit it is a bit lonely out there. See, I'm not the kind of guy who, like, tries to be in a giant group of friends. Maybe sometimes, like, I want that, but most of the time it's just like I want that one good friend like outside of TEACh where I can like talk to them about like anything. But basically I just float around. I'm talk to like certain people, and like I would like always meet up with them. We would just talk and like we just always have that little checkup. So like mostly like some of the relationships I form like our outside of class. Or sometimes I would like just talk with my one best friend, who was in Cincinnati staying. I think he graduated by now, but it's also because like since I'm part of CCA, College of Creative Arts, most of the people I do know are in EHS, and I kind of don't. I'll be honest, I kind of don't like the CCA students all that much, but most of them I do like. And I really find myself just communicating with anybody who's from EHS because it's like, man, I vibe with everybody here. It just feels natural,
Hi, so I'm Aaron Turner. I am one of our teacher liaisons at Taft High School. And I've actually got some Taft graduates here who I think had a couple of questions they wanted to ask the panel as well. So I'm going to turn my microphone over to Miss Katie Witt, who had a question.
My question is, how was y'all orientation? Like, how did that go for y'all?
Orientation. Orientation. That was so long ago. But what I do remember from orientation, I actually was just trying to get the feel from it because it's not the first time I've been on like campus, but like to actually now officially be a part of it, it was like, whoa. And it was like, I think we were through Make It Miami, right? That's what it was called? No. Oh, orientation was different? Okay. Well, it was somewhat similar to that. But so I think for me it was just like a moment of like, whoa, I'm actually here. Like, through all the struggles and triumphs in high school, it's like, man, I'm actually here. And I was just like, man, can't wait to see where I go with this one. But yeah, for me, orientation was just like, it was the beginning, I'm excited, I'm ready to do this, and just, eager to see where I go.
I can't really say anything about orientation since I'm a transfer student, so I'm gonna pass it on.
Orientation for me was a really great experience. I was not fully set on going to college yet when I did attend orientation, but definitely like meeting some of the people in the program and like going to McGuffey for the first time. It was definitely an experience that like made me feel more confident in my decision about going to college. So I feel like orientation's really what you make it, and like how you apply it to your 4 years, how you see your 4 years at Miami.
I went to the Make It Miami program, and then I had a shadow day at the Hamilton campus. But the Make It Miami day at Miami Oxford was absolutely amazing. Fell in love with the campus, and I really, really wanted to go there, but my parents were like, no. So we took a shadow day at Hamilton. The Hamilton campus reminded me of the Walnut Hills campus because it's like smaller and like more walkable. It's also a commuter campus. And seeing like their big student activities room, like Rosa, and the conference center, the teacher classrooms, like Rentschler and Mosler. Sorry, I was blinking. Seeing that, I was like, okay, this is okay. I could do this. So yeah.
I really don't remember orientation, if you want to be honest with you. But I'm working orientation now. And so I know that orientation comes with a lot of information. They are throwing information at you. If you're coming with your parent or guardian, they're throwing information at them. And like usually, I don't know why they expect the students to remember it all, but you won't. And that's okay because you have TEACh. And with that, we will be with you guys during orientation, so it'll be a little bit easier. If you have questions that you don't think that they answered, you can ask us. If you want honest answers, you can ask us as well, so it'll be a little different for you. But it is a lot of information. It's a lot of walking around. You get to meet new people. You also get to meet the freshmen that are coming in with you. I think that's the important part because you don't want to always, when you come in with us, you'll have us as the older group, but you don't want to always have people that are older. You want to have somebody that has the same experience as you or close to it, and so having a freshman friend might be better. And so you get to meet a lot of new people, and then you guys are also offered a soul, and they're there to support you throughout your whole 4 years, or however long they're there for. But you'll have them during orientation, and they're going to do games with you and make sure you know all the information that you know, that you know where your next sessions are. And yeah, I think it is a lot of information. It is. It's a little overwhelming, but you'll have some support with you while you're going. So, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I'll answer.
Can I do that? What you said? Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead.
All right, so us coming from high school going into college, how did y'all maintain like maturing, and like how was just that leap going straight into college, like as a first generation student? Like, because I feel like I still got like a lot of pressure on me going into college being a first generation. So like how do y'all handle that?
Recently, I talked to my grandpa and I cried because I just talked to him. But like, it's because I know that he wants me to do good, you know? And so he said he was proud of me. And like, it's easy to talk to my grandpa, and I'm really close to my grandpa, and that's somebody that I think in my head, like I know that I gotta do good because I want my grandpa to be like proud, you know? And so you have your support where they're like, okay, we see you're in college, like, especially being first gen. Everybody thinks it's important. Not saying thinks it's important. It is important. But everybody sees it as something that, like, wow. And so when I go home and I visit my family, they're like, Nani doing this and Nani doing that. And this is where she went. This is where she went. And so it's a lot. Like, it becomes a lot sometimes. And I got to remind my family, like, I'm still struggling. I'm still, like that's a lot, you know? And I feel like sometimes it's helpful. And then also, maturity-wise, I'm still learning to mature. I just got my first apartment, so that's like crazy, bills. so you're gonna take it step by step. Like it's gonna come to you, and nobody's expecting you to be ready like tomorrow. Nobody's expecting you to be ready by the time the semester starts. You won't be. That's normal. But you got to be willing to like to mess up, to fix those mistakes that you make. Listening to the people that tell you that you might be making a mistake. Hearing different perspectives. Be open to anything really, willing to try new things, knowing that change is inevitable. You are going to change. Sometimes the people you surround yourself with will change, and you just got to be willing to learn those lessons, and maturing will be a little bit easier.
I feel like a way that made TEACh Cincinnati, or being in the first year, like making that leap, made it manageable. So like a couple tips. Always having that calendar. I feel like Google Calendar is something that like a lot of teachers and business professionals they use that. So definitely keeping a good calendar. So I would say probably about a week or two ahead of time. Just make sure you got your planner up to date. What else? What's another thing? I would say. Just being timely, being on time to things. Sometimes be a little bit early, because you may not, you don't know what you're gonna miss. Sometimes you'll look down at your phone and you'll be like, oh, and then look up and then you miss something, So you gotta just always stay focused. And yeah, one more tip. When you get your refund check, spend it on things you need and not things you want. Yeah.
As a first gen student, also that pressure is always there from family and from your community. I feel like for me, what's been very important is, for me, what's been very important is, sorry, I had it in my head. Oh, taking small bites. I am a person who bites off more than I could chew, and then I get into the thick of it, and then I'm like, wait, this is way more than I was able to handle. So just making sure that I'm aware of that personally, and then asking for help. Asking for help is never wrong, and there are so many people in this program that are ready to help you, but you have to ask. You have to be the one that puts yourself out, and not necessarily, because sometimes they'll come to you and they'll be like, yeah, do you need help? But I feel like asking for help sometimes, or hinting that you need help, is hard too. So yeah, I was also gonna say, find your community. That might seem hard, but once you find your community, you find your people, it's easier to keep going, and you have an external motivator to help you keep going when things get tough.
So with maturing, it kind of actually happens out of the blue. Something like sparked me like 2 weeks ago during summer semester that I actually need to get my life together. So with that being said, like, thanks to like Sydney and Brian, like I work in McGuffey, and like I have opportunities to take summer classes over the summer. So definitely drill yourself with like routine and structure. Like I have my schedule micromanaged from like the time I wake up, the time I take naps, the time I go to work, the time I want to go tan, stuff like that. I feel like you definitely need to stay punctual, on top of your time, because college is one of those things that kind of like slips past you if you let it. And trust me, I've let it for the past 2 semesters. So this is me trying to reclaim my, like, what I want from myself. And I feel like that's like a big thing that you have to do as a college student, is kind of like dig into what you want to do and what your morals and your values are. And I feel like that'll make college a lot easier.
I honestly couldn't give you any better advice that's been said already, other than that, which has already been mentioned. Finding ways to stay motivated. I think one of the colleges, one of the hardest things in college is finding ways not to slack off. It's so easy to procrastinate, because you might have a class once a week and you're like, oh, I can get that done I got 5 days before something's due, and then 5 days will go so fast. So like one of the things I do to stay motivated is I just think about like fortunately I still had the pictures from when I worked with LMF of me with the preschoolers, and every time I was like, do I really want to do this? I had the picture right on my desk and I look at it and be like, I'm doing it for them. So I do it and then it gets done. And that's how I kept myself motivated and on top of tasks. And yeah, sometimes I was like, I could do it later. Let me just have fun for a bit. But I think that's the hardest part is just you got to keep yourself motivated and make sure you stay on top of everything. That's the best advice I think I can give you.
So, like, one of the an advice I want to give you, and I felt the wrath of this my very first semester, you're going to experience a culture shock when you first go to Miami. Like, it is going to be noticeably different, and it is going to just hit. But I just, like, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because, like, it is something that can actually affect the way you think, and it affects your mental state. So, like, if you go in and, like, try to, like, find your community, like we have this place called the, in Armstrong, the CSDI, yeah. So basically it's where most students of color or just anybody's just welcome to go there. What's that? They took it away now, but still, it's still important to like find your community. Like we have a group chat where you can pretty much talk to anybody. But as far as work, the way I balance that is that I have a job in McGuffey where I work as a student assistant and I assist professors. But I also have a time gap where I get to complete my work too. And I use that to just get everything done in a timely fashion. I will say, don't try to wait till the last minute to try to like, do your work. Some people are like can try to like pull that off and like do their best, have their best work done for that, but that's like still not really recommended. Just try to like be mindful of what you do. Like try to send up schedules and everything, and yeah, just my overall advice: just be mindful of your time, be like mindful in your environment, and just make sure to find the community you're in, because whenever you're in a supporting group, you're able to like get your best work done in.
Actually, I have one other thing. When you get to Miami, apply to be at the library. You get paid to do homework. Just do it. It's so easy. You can sit down at the desk. You just check people in and out. Books, that's it. Just sit at the desk, do your homework, get it done, and then you can go home and do whatever you want in your dorm or whatever. That's my last thing.
Just wanted to shout out the Hamilton campus has a DE&I center, which is really fun. They talk about politics in this country, LGBTQIA plus issues. They have like monthly sessions with professors. So professors will come in and talk to students, and it'll just be like a roundtable discussion on like class curriculum, like class rules, what they think about Miami policies, how Miami's changing, things like that. So if you ever want to come, go.
Another thing, like another tip of advice I want to give you, self-reliance is like your best friend, but so is relying on other people. Like, don't be scared to like ask for help. I was so terrified for for any type of help, academic, like emotionally, mentally and stuff. And then it just occurred to me that like opening your mouth is easier than struggling alone. And like whether that's academically or mentally or anything, it's so much easier to like rely on someone or have a backup plan versus like you're wandering through college alone and you're just relying on yourself alone, because I promise you that's not going to be good enough, just being by yourself with no support.
And then the last thing, the Black community kind of, they make sure we stick together. They host events a lot of the time, so make sure you're going to events. You'll see them in the group chat that you get added to. But make sure you're paying attention to when events are. And if you can't make it, that's okay as well. So make sure you're prioritizing that as well, like what you need to do. But try to go to the events. I think that helps build community as well.
So are there any other questions in the room student, non-student questions that anybody would like to pose to our panel? Just any other questions? Anybody else before Katie has another one?
And you all don't have to answer, just one person. I'm Courtney Miller. I work in the Office of Admission at Miami. My husband is a teacher with Cincinnati Public, and so over the years, he's become kind of an unofficial recruiter. And like Myles mentioned, you know, it's a culture shock for a lot of students. So he has a hard time selling Miami to students sometimes. What would you say to a student who maybe has a certain perception of Miami, or maybe just doesn't feel like Miami is for them?
When we were in class with Dr. Rachel, when we were in high school, there was a professor that she brought in, and he told we had to watch something, I think, but he had told us, like, to feel comfortable, you have to be uncomfortable. And honestly, took the class in the uproar. It was crazy. Everybody was like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? And it's exactly what it means. You have to be uncomfortable so that you can adjust to new settings, new surroundings, new people. And yeah, being at Miami was different. Never been around that many white people. It was like, okay, well, how do I get comfortable? I know that they may not be comfortable, like, but it's my journey, my path, like, and so I had to make it what I wanted to be. And so if they didn't want to talk to me, I made them talk to me. Like, it would have to be that way. And if that wasn't gonna work, I knew that I couldn't let that be my only experience that shaped how I look at Miami. And like I said before, the Black community does show out sometimes. My first year, our first 50 days was great. We had a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of new people. And even the opportunities that the Black community have for other students to be like in their organizations and stuff, put you in leadership positions. A lot of that helped me feel more comfortable there. But then outside of that, whenever I was the only Black person in class, I would have to get comfortable with my teachers. Having Sydney, I think, was also what made it easier, is because she had been through that experience already. So what I was uncomfortable with, I could be like, Sydney, this ain't it, you know? And that doesn't mean that at times I was like, I can't do this, I won't do it, like, I'm not doing it, you know? And so she was like, okay, I was there, I made it through, you can too. So then having that motivation was very helpful, so yeah. Anybody else want to answer?
Definitely, I feel like coming from a rural PWI environment to like a suburban PWI environment, it's all about like what you make it. I was personally not scared to go to Miami because I grew up in predominantly white spaces. However, there's a difference between rural areas and suburban areas, and there's a difference between the South, and there's a difference between Ohio. I don't know what to call Ohio. Midwest, so yeah. So definitely, like, I'm a bit of a spunky person. Like, I came to Miami with pink hair. Now my hair is red, and I have avocados and a full sleeve tattoo on my nails. So, you know, I feel like it's all about how you want to present yourself as a person. You can't, like, you have to be willing to show up and be like your true, authentic self. And if that makes people uncomfortable, then that's just on them, and that's the type of person that you are. But you should never, like, dim your light just so you make other people around you comfortable. You have to, like, make people uncomfortable so they're willing to learn and they're accepting of like other things, other people, other environments, and other spaces. So